The story begins when a husband and wife see their neighbors hurriedly leaving their homes and running away. When the two of them step forward to help, the neighbors become frightened when they see them. Outside, everyone is running as fast as they can to save their lives. Nick cannot understand what is happening, but he decides to leave with his family. However, on the way, they see those same neighbors rushing back at incredible speed as the situation worsens. Nick's family becomes anxious. While stuck in traffic, they learn that the military has closed the only road leading out. Helicopters are evacuating people, and announcements on the radio are telling everyone to return home. Some people begin turning their cars around, but Nick's family is confused. They do not know that a dangerous virus has spread throughout the city, causing people to turn into extremely powerful and vicious zombies. While Nick is still trying to understand the situation, a rock suddenly falls onto the hood of their car. When they look up, they see dust rising from the top of a cliff. Then, with a loud roar, 2 fighter jets suddenly fly overhead and head directly toward the small town where they used to live. At the same time, before anyone can understand what is happening, the jets begin dropping bombs on their homes and bombard the entire town. Everyone panics when they see this. If they had followed the announcement and returned home, the result would have been nothing but death within moments. Thick smoke rises above the town. No one appears to have survived there. Even more frightening, after completing their mission, the 2 aircraft suddenly change direction and begin heading toward them. Now, everyone realizes that the military intends to kill them all. In their panic, they cannot think clearly, and they do not have the courage to stay where they are, so they scatter and run to hide. Claire notices a water tower on a hill. An idea comes to her mind, and she runs toward the hill with her family. Just then, the aircraft launch another bombing attack. The place where they are standing shakes from the explosion, and their daughter falls to the ground. Seeing the military's brutality, they no longer have the courage to stay there and run toward a school on a hill to save their lives. There is an old bunker. The Thea do not know whether it can withstand the attacks or not, but it is their last hope. As the aircraft draw closer, Nick breaks the chain and enters first. Just as the door is about to close, a powerful explosion is heard above them at the very last second. Nick's family still does not know why the government is doing this to them. Despite all their efforts, they cannot understand what is happening, so they have no choice but to remain there. Fortunately, the bunker contains plenty of expired food, enough for the entire family. They securely lock the door with chains and stop expecting any help from outside. However, life underground is very difficult. Every day, they have to eat the same canned food, which looks unpleasant, and drink dirty water from a well. In their free time, they pass the time by playing cards or hide and seek. The situation makes them feel as if the world has come to an end. After nearly 5 months, Jo loses her patience. She asks her father how long they will have to stay there, and Nick has no answer. He simply comforts her by saying that they will be able to leave once the virus is gone and everything becomes normal again. But the wait lasts for more than 300 days. Many times, Jo looks outside through the ventilation opening. Every time, she sees the same destruction: burned houses, dry branches, and no sign of life anywhere. Even so, Joey does not give up hope. As soon as her parents fall asleep, she quietly climbs the ladder and begins pulling hard on the chain so she can open the hatch and go out. City. At that moment, no one realizes that the loud noise created by their little daughter is about to bring a huge and terrifying problem upon them. Just as Joey is about to open the bunker hatch, her parents arrive in time and stop her, saving all 3 of their life. Shower. When Jerry opens a food can to eat, she discovers that it is empty. Claire immediately checks the remaining cans. 2 of them are completely empty from the holes above. It becomes clear that rats have stolen the fruit. The 3 of them realize that the rats have been entering and leaving through the ventilation system. Claire comforts her daughter and tells her that her father will go outside the next day to look for food. Just then, Jerry notices a sound coming from behind them. The hungry rats have returned. Seeing this, Nick immediately pulls out his knife. It looks as though he wants to cut the rat into pieces. He bends down and slowly moves forward. Mother and daughter hold their breath, and the atmosphere suddenly becomes extremely tense. And Nick strikes with all his strength, but he misses. The small rat jumps onto the table and runs around wild, and Nick quickly turns and attacks again. But once more, he misses just as the rat is about to run past Claire and Jerry and disappear into its hole. Claire suddenly attacks it mercilessly. It is the first time Nick has seen his wife behave like this, but he understands that circumstances can change a person before they can recover from the moment. They smell something burning. Claire notices that while escaping, the rat knocked over a lamp, which has now caught fire. Nick rushes to put it out, but the hot lamp burns his hand. As the temperature and pressure rise, the lamp explodes, scattering burning oil everywhere. Within moments, the entire table is engulfed in flames. Claire tears down a curtain and tries to extinguish the fire. Meanwhile, Nick takes half a bucket of drinking water from the well and pours it onto the flames. Working together, the husband and wife finally manage to bring the fire under control. However, thick smoke escapes through the ventilation shaft. This could reveal their hiding place. The entire family spends the night silently praying that the smoke was not seen by the monster-like zombies in the darkness. The next morning, Nick notices something even more frightening. A thick layer of soot has formed on the mirror. This means that the smoke not only escaped outside but also left visible black marks around the ventilation area to avoid attracting the attention of the zombies. Nick and Claire decide to take the risk of going outside. To clean the area, they remove the chains and listen carefully. There is no movement. Outside then, they open the hatch. Jo remains alone inside the bunker after a long time. Her parents still have not returned. She climbs onto a stool and looks through the periscope. Her parents are hiding the entrance to the tunnel. Then she notices a dark figure in the distant forest. Joey screams loudly, but because of the distance, they cannot hear her clicking. She forgets her fear, climbs the ladder, opens the hatch, and runs outside. But outside, everything is completely silent. There is no sign of her mother or father anywhere. When Joey finally sees her parents alive, instead of feeling relieved, she continues speaking nervously and pointing ahead. After all the panic, it turns out that Joey had only been frightened by a deer. Nick lets out a sigh of relief and gently comforts his daughter, but Claire is confused. Why were the deer running? What was chasing them? As soon as they sense danger, the family quickly returns to the bunker. Nick seals the opening with wooden boards and secures the door tightly with iron chains. After adding several locks and safety measures, he finally calms down enough to listen to the sounds outside. Holding his breath, Nick listens carefully. Soon, he hears footsteps. The sound grows closer and closer until it finally stops directly above their heads. It feels as though the zombie has sensed something unusual. The creature keeps walking back and forth, as if searching for something. Following the sound of the footsteps, Nick realizes that the zombie has stopped directly above the bunker entrance when the hatch suddenly rattles. A wave of fear rushes through the family. Nick and Claire pray that the door does not open. Suddenly, the zombie begins pulling at the hatch. The door is secured with chains, but stopping the creature seems impossible. Before long, the chains snap, and the hatch slowly begins to open. Claire climbs the ladder, grabs the chain, and uses all her strength to keep the hatch closed. Nick quickly breaks a water pipe and wedges it against the door to hold it shut, but by the time he climbs up, it is already too late. The zombie forces the heavy metal hatch upward. Its glowing white eyes appear through the opening. Nick immediately swings the metal pipe and strikes the zombie hard across the face. The creature does not expect the attack. In pain, it stumbles backward. Nick quickly jams the pipe against the hatch again. Only after hearing the footsteps move away does he finally breathe a sigh of relief. But all of them know that now the bunker has been discovered. After finding this place, more zombies are bound to come. Soon, the three of them sit near the stairs in despair, holding onto a small amount of hope that the zombie has given up and left. But it does not seem that way. About 20 minutes later, the cabinet in the storage room begins shaking violently. Heavy footsteps echo from above, then more footsteps, and more. Soon, an entire horde of zombies arrives. Immediately, they gather around the entrance to the tunnel and begin attacking the strong metal hatch. As soon as the iron door falls, countless eyes begin glowing at the entrance of the dark tunnel. Terrified, Nick takes his wife and daughter and hides inside the storage room. To stop the zombies, he sets the curtains on fire. Together, he and Claire block the doorway with a cabinet, but they cannot hold them back for very long. There is no way left to retreat. Then Joey notices that the ventilation shaft leads all the way to the surface. Nick climbs onto a table and uses a stick to break open the wooden board covering the top. Then he lifts his wife up and helps her climb out. Luckily, all of the zombies have entered the bunker through the main entrance. There is no one above them now. This is the best chance to escape. After that, he turns around and helps his daughter climb out as well. Now only Nick remains inside the bunker. The zombies are closing in without stopping. He tries to climb out through the ventilation shaft, but the opening is too small. His shoulders become stuck, and he cannot get out. Claire keeps pulling him with all her strength, but he does not move at all. Nick realizes that his body cannot fit through the opening. Meanwhile, the zombies continue moving closer. Then, despite not wanting to, Nick breaks his teeth and breaks his own arm. The moment Claire sees this, she does not hesitate. Using all of her strength, she pulls Nick upward, and their little daughter quickly joins in to help. Just as Nick is about to come out of the bunker, one zombie finally breaks through the wall of fire. It steps forward and grabs Nick's leg. Seeing no hope of escape, Nick tells his wife and daughter to run. Then the zombie mercilessly drags him back down. Claire leans over the opening, crying. Terrifying sounds of fighting rise from below. Then she hears her husband's painful scream. She understands that something terrible has happened to Nick. Now she cannot even stop to grieve. Taking her daughter with her, she immediately runs away. But while running, she notices something strange. Where there was once a highway, there are now only piles of scrap and towering walls. Mother and daughter have nowhere to run. Then the searchlight from a helicopter shines directly on them. They are trapped. Claire wants to take her daughter and hide in the darkness again. But suddenly, a large net flies through the air and wraps around both of them. At the same time, several dark figures with glowing eyes slowly approach. Only then do they realize that these are not zombies. They are a heavily armed team of soldiers, but no matter who they are not planning to let them go. In fact, the people of the city had been infected with the virus from the very beginning. The virus had no color and no smell, and it sprayed through the air. Because of this, many people became infected without even realizing it. Only Nick's family had managed to survive by hiding in the bunker, but once they came outside, the soldiers were forced to take the most painful course of action. They decided to kill both of them. Just then, blood suddenly began flowing from a soldier's neck. Nick had arrived at exactly the right moment. Veins were bulging across his face, and his eyes were red. He looked just like a zombie. After the transformation, his strength and speed had increased dramatically. He easily killed 2 soldiers. He moved so fast that no one could stand against him. Then the remaining soldiers opened fire in time, and Nick was killed on the spot. Once the soldiers were convinced that Nick was dead, they began moving toward the remaining mother and daughter. But then they discovered that the 2 had cut through the net and escaped. The team leader immediately ordered his men to capture the 2 infected survivors as quickly as possible. Joey was hiding inside an old car. As soon as she heard movement, she crouched down and hid. At that moment, Claire launched a sudden counterattack, and just like Nick, took down several soldiers. But no matter how strong she was, she could not withstand the bullets. In the end, she collapsed onto the hood of the car. Jerry, who was hiding inside the vehicle, saw everything. Crying, she suddenly began to change as well. As a soldier stepped forward to kill Claire, Jerry knocked him to the ground and started punching him repeatedly. The man was nearly dead. Then the injured Claire stopped her. She did not want her daughter's hands stained with blood or for her to become a killer. But suddenly Jerry attacked Claire herself. Fortunately, Jerry soon returned to her normal self. However, the soldier was not so lucky. After his shield was broken, he was accidentally infected by the virus as well. Now his fate would be the same as everyone else's, as the helicopter searching for them drew closer and closer. Claire had no choice but to take her daughter and run. After crossing a huge pile of garbage, they discovered a secret bunker. To survive, they went deeper inside. Thick darkness surrounded them, and they had only a lighter to guide the way. Then Claire suddenly noticed a bright light ahead, and they found their neighbor's son, Marco. He led them farther inside, and finally stopped at a turn in the tunnel. When Marco lifted a manhole cover, Claire could not understand what he was doing. The next moment, several familiar faces appeared before them. In reality, many other survivors had been hiding there as well, to stay alive. These people were forced to live in the darkness like rats. Without wasting a moment, Claire closed the bunker gate behind him, and remained hidden there until a cure could be found.